And hello to all friends, Potato is with you. This is the second part of the guide on Madangan Saray, on version 1.16.5. But before you start watching, be sure to subscribe to me and click on the bell, so as not to miss new videos. I also want to say hello to Genio. Well, if you also want me to say hello to you, then just write a creative comment, and maybe you will get into the next video. But we're getting started. You can find the next generation under a dark forest, magical with this here. And look, of course, she is also a little pagan. Here you can see, she popped right into the water from this forest. Well, in short, that's how it turned out. Let me better switch to observer mode to show it to you better. It's just going to be a huge dungeon. Before that, we also had a dungeon now, but this is not a hell dungeon, so to speak. Yes, even with a different theme. Listen, it's better to drink a night vision potion first. Great, now we'll see everything. You can already see now that this dungeon is also just huge. It goes all the way up to the thigh. Again, there is a prominent generation with a little pagan. But let's take it all in more detail, because this particular generation seems to me very diverse. So let's fly in here and get out of the observer. Let's walk around here and see what structures there are here. First of all, we probably have some kind of cryocamera from which some monster escaped. There is even a spawner here, and it's a skeleton visor. 40 HPM, 11 armor. And look how it looks, by the way. In short, again, it will be very dangerous here. There's a chest, there's such a loot in it. Very cool indeed. So, let's go back up and go to that room. Here we apparently have some prisons, some rooms, I don't know, it's probably some kind of cells to the truth. Here, look, by the way, diamond horse armor, a sword for sharpness too. Well, in general, such a tlut. Again, very good. Another chamber, there is another chest. Listen, there is actually a very rich danji on the chest here, but by the way this chest was empty. Very strange. Let's move on. There's also a spooner. Here, by the way, a little flooded with water. This is most likely a generation tank, because, according to the plan, this should not be at all. And by the way, yes, what I told you about, it all went a little into the ocean, so it's better to fly deep and see what's there. Let's say, there are such corridors here. We go to the left, and there is again some kind of camera. This is probably some kind of former prison in general. There's nothing in the chests here. And these are the heads. Are the heads real human or decorative? I don't honestly know. Here's another camera. Open it. There is nothing here either, but here it is actually possible to cut down, let's say, such bookshelves here. So, let's look at another kind of generation. Let's say here, we have a kind of alchemical zone located here, and this is most likely some kind of apparatus. You see, it's probably some kind of dispenser, or something like that, and something was carried out here. We go down the corridor, there is still some kind of torture room or something. Look, it's probably some kind of electric chair. People were put here, tied up. Here, by the way, again, some different images will be fulfilled and killed or tortured. Here we have a daylight sensor. Some of these hooks, levers. Something incomprehensible was happening here in short. And here, by the way, is a chest. There is such a loot in it. Dynamite, by the way. Listen, look, there are 40 pieces of dynamite here. There is also an even larger alchemical zone, some more dispensers, various chests, spawners, witches spawn here. And barrels, by the way. In short, loot is here, as I have already said a lot. In general, there are a lot of loot in all this fashion. I also want to show you a very dangerous room. I'd like to find her now. Before that, when I watched all these dungeons, I found her, and very often. Here's a look. Here we have some kind of hole. Watch out, you won't fall there, by the way. What's he got here? And still the same room. In short, look, if you fall here, it will be tin. There's a chest there. Yes, it just beckons, but in fact it's all a scam. You jump in here and see what happens. And why is nothing happening? Here it all begins. Look, in short, some jaws come out of the floor like this, and they will feed you, so be careful. But there is still loot in the chest, and you can pick it up. By the way, there are 4 crossbows for quick reloading. Listen, that's a lot. Here, well, in principle, you can somehow carefully adjust here, or pour water, and take all the loot. And this, by the way, is exactly the electric chair. Well, in principle, there don't seem to be any other rooms of such and such interesting ones here. Unless, by the way, if you also fall here, then these jaws are waiting for you there. Let's check it out. Here they are, here they come out. I'll give you a little bit with a delay, so you have time to somehow build yourself blocks. Well, this is how we got a danjik. Again, it is very huge, goes to the very bottom, and in principle, the generation is repeated. Therefore, I don't see any point in considering all of this here. You will be looping for a very long time. I do not know. It seems to me it takes 4 hours here to take out everything here. The next one is just a huge generation. Is this a Japanese house or a Chinese one? Listen, right, by the way, what kind of style is Chinese or Japanese? Honestly, I don't understand. I don't want to say anything. And this thing, as you can have, is just huge again. And you will be looping for a very long time too. Let's start from the first floor. Let's see what's there. There are such different rooms with spawners there. They will be remembered there. And here are people like that, in short, who will be upside down on top, like Spider-Men of some kind. Now, in a good way, I think they would have been asleep. Come on, there they are, there they are. Yeah, great, here they are. Here, look at this diner booms like this, which are inverted, can shoot and like spiders. In short, quite interestingly done. By the way, there is such a bamboo found here, which indicates the origin of this whole building. There is some kind of, it's a rod, an aquarium, I don't know. In general, there is such a loot here. The rooms here are actually quite monotonous, in the same style. Here you can see that they are repeated, and on each floor everything is about the same. That is, birch trees again, are some more rooms here, bookshelves. In short, the style is the same. I don't see any point in considering all this here at all, but from above, it's actually quite interesting. Therefore, I suggest that we fly there already. Look, it's consider that the very roof of this building, and there is a large battle arena. There are as many as 4 spawners, and each of these spawners will make very powerful warriors. Let's wait a little bit now, so that they get sleepy. In the meantime, let's see what kind of loot is here. Loot is very expensive here, and by the way, the skeleton's visor is 40 HPM, 6 armor, that's how huge they are, and their swords are very powerful. Be careful, and it's better to break these spawners right away, otherwise it seems to me it will be very difficult to fight them later. In general, such a loot here is not very useful, that is, you probably won't find diamonds here. But let's say there is such a chainmail armor there that you can then dissect it, redo something there. Let's say there are charms on the book, I don't know, gold is here to pick up, a little bread, food. Well, in short, this is what we have here. I would not say that it is very, very rich, but still, its gold is also worth it. By the way, the roof consists of prismarine, so you can take it for yourself. The next generation is, let's say, a mushroom settlement of some mushroom inhabitants, who will also be very, very, very dangerous. These are our piglins, such brutal piglins, who will run on cows. They can also walk without cows, by the way. Here they have swords like this, armor. Quite dangerous, so again, immediately break these spawners. You can find this generation somewhere in the forests. Here you can see we have such a relative forest, and there is such a mushroom settlement of smurfs. I don't know who it is. Well, in general, the houses here are so dilapidated, or they just don't require completion. There are various barrels, food, and the second floor. Here we have nothing. Clay, by the way. Green can also be picked up here. Then here's another house, by the way, quite good. Here we have a barrel, a chest. In short, here we have a settlement with food. If you want to eat, come to the mushroom settlement and take all the food for yourself. Let's just look at the kind of houses then. Here, we have such a mushroom house. Then, there is such a roof, and made of crimson wood. Then there are houses like this, and I wouldn't even call it a house, it's probably some kind of canopy. Then, by the way, we also have piglin crossbows, so be very careful again. Then there are such houses on top of which such mushrooms grow, also some kind of awnings. Well, let's say this is a rather interesting house. Here we have stairs, and we are literally in the mushroom cap. We go in a barrel, by the way, we already have a diamond sword here, which is pretty good, and here we have food. In a nutshell, this generation resembles an ordinary village, except that there are no residents here. But there are dangerous piglins like that. We do not depart from the topic of Ivankula, and then we go on. I don't know exactly what this structure is called, but in principle, it can be translated as mushroom excavations or something like that. In short, look, first of all, it is located very strangely. It will most likely be fixed later. Well, let's get in here. It's like here we have such caves, and here such zombie slaves with pickaxes go, and probably extract mushrooms from mycelium or how, I honestly don't know. You can guess it yourself. Let's go in here and take a look. Here we even have little zombies and sea slaves. We move on, we rise. Here we have barrels, and they contain all kinds of food and also ores. We climb even higher. Here we have these zombies digging, working. There's also a chest. There are rails, food. By the way, look how funny the skeletons look here. They have such a fly agaric on top here. Here we also have various scattered ore, iron in this case. Let's go even higher. Everything is the same there. And finally, here is the top. This is probably the most interesting thing, because here you can find chests in these tables, and there is really, well, a good loot in them. See diamonds, gold, but rails. In short, it very much resembles some kind of underground loot, well, in those ordinary Minecraft dungeons. Only here there is more of it. Then there's a double chest, gold ore as well. Here's gold, diamonds, various rails. By the way, you can also take a piston here. We still have some work in barrels. In short, in order not to go into the mine, you can simply find such a generation, and in principle, mess it up. By the way, it's quite interesting. There is some type of crane located here. It's probably a winch, a rope, and here we have a chest. In the chest we have this loot. Well, by itself, this structure is all overgrown with such large mushrooms. The next mushroom generation is a house made of fly agaric, or a fly agaric house or something like that. We have a fairly small one, and he has such a big hat on top, but there is basically nothing there. But let's take a look at what's down there first. From below, we have creepers walking here, because they just started sleeping here. There is a smokehouse. By the way, look at the anvil. You can use it. Then there's the barrel. The barrel here, we naturally have food, because the mushroom is food, the fly agaric is food. Still, you probably eat fly agaric every day. In short, it's all food. Therefore, we go up. Here we have a look at the spawners. Spawners, and again, such unusual mobs. It's like mushroom inhabitants. Then, here, we have one chest, here is a loot, then 2 chests and that's it. In principle, there is nothing else. Here we have such a loot. It seems to me that this structure has 2 benefits. First of all, you can settle here, and secondly, you can disassemble this hat and use all these materials to build your beautiful house. The next structure for residence is finally called, if I'm not mistaken, a monastery. Let's move on to the entrance now. This is probably the entrance is considered, or on the contrary, the balcony. Well, in short, we will assume that this is an alley. The entrance is like this. And here we have zombies, by the way, don't pay attention to them. In principle, they shouldn't be here. They just came to their senses here, because it was night. Then here, we have such beautiful birch trees growing here. And, in principle, we have residents living here. On the first floor, there is a garden bed like this. They grow potatoes here. Is that a potato? Yes, it's potatoes. But by the way, for some reason it's not enough. Apparently they don't work well. Then on the first floor, by the way, here's an iron golem. Here's a barrel. Here we have food, water. Here we have the first bed, books. Here's another barrel of food, and let's move to the second floor already. On the second floor, we have a rather interesting area. It's like a dorm or some kind of residential. By the way, it seems to me that we don't have enough residents, although 4. Yes, probably still normal. In short, here, we have 4 beds located here. We also have a chest, and in the chest, by the way, you can sometimes find various maps. Let's say now, this explorer's map we have points to a charged temple. This is one of the generations in this mod. Let's say you can pick it up later and find the structure with the help of this map. So, here we have a department, an alchemical counter, bookshelves on the second floor. Well, in principle, there is such a lamp-like atmosphere here, it seems to me very much. This is a common house for residents. The roof, by the way, looks pretty nice, and there is also such an interesting shape. Maybe it means something, who knows, right? You see, here we have so unusually done. From the outside, it all looks like this, also very cool. The next structure is another cave. Look, it seems to me that this author really likes to make some simply huge structures, especially some cave passages. In this case, we have this cave, in the style of usually Minecraft, only it is much larger. Here you can see the type of rail we have 4 trolleys, they are even activated. Here we also have various skeletons to remember, and here is such a rumor here, some different ores and the like. Next, let's go through. Here we have more skeletons with armor, then look at the skeletons with creepers. It seems to me that this is something very dangerous. Let's move on. By the way, look at the bottom. We have a type of water located. There are such beams here, and on these beams, there are such paths. Then here's another barrel. Here we have all sorts of mannerisms. It seems to me that in fact, all these mannerly structures are very cool. There is a lot of loot in them. Here's another barrel. Again, a lot of diamonds. In general, you just don't need to find anything. It seems to me that 1 cave is enough for a lifetime in Minecraft. Well, at least without mods. We fly on. Here, in principle, we have nothing interesting in terms of structures, except that here are scattered ores, various barrels with loot, and all sorts of arches like this are very beautiful. It seems to me that with shaders, especially with text shaders, it will be very cool here. Let's take another look at this whole thing a little further away, so as not to miss anything for sure. Yes, there is nothing else like that here. Just generating such paths along with barrels of chests. By the way, which is very interesting, here you can also find magma. The next generation is a camp of residents. Probably residents of refugees, or some kind of displaced persons. Well, in short, it doesn't matter what their history was. In general, here we will have such various tents. We have them like ordinary tents like this. And some big ones, like I don't know the alphas of some residents or married couples, probably because we have 2 beds here. They are blue, by the way. And then here we have another look. By the way, here we even have as many as 3 beds. And here is the chest. Here, we don't have a very expensive one, because these are residents, they apparently work poorly, they don't extract anything. But here, by the way, there is even a whole door. Yes, there must be some head of residents living here, because here she has a whole rod and a chest. Look, here we have a bow for strength, iron, 1 bed, which indicates that 1 resident lives here. Then here they have a bell tower in the center. And here is another chest. By the way, here we have a researcher's map of the monastery, which we have already reviewed. In short, the loot here is the same as in the village. Please pay attention to the study of all this generation. Here we also have paths that are made of stony earth, which is pretty cool. Also here, the residents apparently grow rose bushes, and in the process, they do not want to move into normal houses. But by the way, please note, they do not have professions here, so you will have to put new blocks of professions, so that they take them for themselves, and accordingly, do something. Well, or so that you can just even trade with them. Well, there was a potato with you. Be sure to subscribe, like, write comments, and also click on the bell so as not to miss new videos.